I'm gonna wait a little bit of time, and I'm gonna give some time for some people to come into the room. So if you do join the room, first thing I would like you to do is let me know where you're from. You know what I mean? Let me know where you're tuning in from so I can shout you out. But we're gonna let this room fill in. I'll give it about 4 or 5 minutes to let the room fill in, then we'll get into the full discussion. Hip Hop Secret Agent Sean Conn, you know what it is. Yeah, today we're doing a certain live discussion. For those who pre-seen the live and know what it is, and for those who don't, this is gonna be a discussion about 30-year cycles in hip hop, 30-year cycles in general, but this in particular is a 30-year cycle in hip hop. So we're talking about 1994 and 1995, and then we'll be also talking about 2024, 2025. But if you're in the room, let me know where you're from. I'm gonna let the room fill in because you know it takes a little while for the algorithm to show that we live. So give it a couple of minutes while I fight off these mosquitoes. This might be the last live I'm doing outside. That's worried because every time I come out here, it's like my blood is extra special, and they want my blood more than anybody else's, which is crazy. But we're gonna start the discussion. Let me know where you're tuning in from, where you're from. Put it in the comments. Let me know where you're from, so that way I can get an idea of from where you're from and how hip hop has impacted you in the last 30 years. You know, from the cycle of the 94, 95 to 2024, 2025. And if you see me move my hands around a lot, just know that I'm dodging and ducking these mosquitoes. It's crazy. Like I got bit on the knuckle right here. I got bit right here. You know, so I'm not into killing anything, but if you try to take my blood, then it's gonna be a problem. Feel me? So that's what we're gonna do. So yeah. So we're gonna let the room fill up, and then we'll get straight into the discussion and see what it is. We'll get into that hip hop discussion, 30-year cycle. Let me know where you're tuning in from, though. Whether it's wherever, you don't have to even be in the United States, because a lot of times, a lot of my people, my supporters, are from overseas. So let me know where you're from. Hopefully, you speak English and everything is you can comprehend. There is no subtitles here, so it is what it is. But I'm gonna let the live go into 5 minutes, and then in 5 minutes we'll start the discussion. Whoever's in here right now, go in the comments. Let me know your name and where you're from. We got 2.5 minutes before we start the discussion, so we're just gonna chill and wait. Keep my hand on this table is dangerous. These mosquitoes is these mosquitoes are crazy. Like my blood is. I'm telling you, some people don't get bit by mosquitoes. My blood type is like honey to them. That's a fact. My blood type is like honey to these mosquitoes. But yeah, let me know where you're from in the comments. Make sure you put a comment, your name and where you're from, and we're gonna get into discussion, and it's gonna be interactive. So we'll be back and forth in the chat. If somebody wants to be a moderator, let me know, because I may need one, because this is gonna be a heavy discussion. Let me know while I fight off these mosquitoes. We got less than 2 minutes before we start this discussion. The room will fill in as we go along. Just stay here. We're going to get into the discussion. Remember, this is the 30-year cycle of music. Talking about a 30-year cycle of hip-hop right now. So right now, we're basically going to be speaking on 1994, 1995, 2024, 2025. So 30-year cycle. And if anybody noticed how things have come back to that level and that stage, but we're going to get into that conversation in about 1 minute. So 1 more minute, and then we're gonna start the combo. But let me know, somebody in the comments, let me know where you're from. Let's get engagement going right now. Let's set it off now. Welcome to the Live Tech Art. All right, cool. Yeah, let's get into the conversation right now. Let's find out what's what. So we're gonna get right into it in about 45 seconds. We'll get into discussion. I'm just letting the room fill in. But in the meantime, let me know who you are and where you're from, and we'll get right into this. So let me know what's up. We're about to get into the conversation. 30 seconds, we're gonna get straight into it. And I'm just gonna, if you join in, whatever, I'm gonna speak my mind on it, and then y'all join in. That's how we're gonna do it. I'll speak on how I feel about certain things, and you guys chime in, and then we'll go back and forth with what you chime in on. That's how we're gonna do it. We're gonna go live, We're gonna go into this discussion in 15 seconds. All right, so let's get ready. Let me know where you're tuning in from and what's going on with you, all right? Let me know that. So we're about to set it off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get it. Right at the 5-minute mark. Okay. Hip Hop Secret Agent Sean Conn. You know me, I'm on a mission. And today's mission is we're going to talk about the 30-year cycle. For those who don't know, 30-year cycles are real. And before we even get into the hip hop part of it, just check this out. In the 70s, they was wearing bell bottoms. In the 90s, they were wearing bell bottoms again. And now, this summer or this season, people are wearing bell bottoms again. You see the 30-year cycle from the 70s to the 90s to now. Bell bottoms are back in style. Fashion has 30-year cycles all the time, and music has 30-year cycles all the time. But today's discussion, we're going to be talking about the hip-hop cycle. We're going to be talking about that 30-year cycle of hip-hop, where right now hip-hop is in a very good place. Hip-hop is in a very good place. So I'm going to set it off with 94, 95. Let's start from the past and we'll work our way up into the new wave, all right? So 1994, 1995. Anybody in the chat? Any music that you know, put it in the chat. What album from 94 or 95 that you can say is an album that you love, even if you weren't around for that time and you heard it later, if you were there for the time, however you want to do it. But I'm going to set it off with this since everybody's being shy and quiet. All right, 94. That was Outkast's first album. Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, right? Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music. Southern Playalistic Cadillac Funky Music. It was like a wild, long name, but it came out in 1994. Outkast's first album came out in 1994, for those who didn't know. Also, shout out to Nas. All right, watching from all right, Ontario. Shout out to Ontario, Dryden, Canada. All right, so 1994. What a year for hip hop. 1994, 1995. Come on, we had Nas' first album. We had Notorious B.I.G.'s album. We had Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links, the Purple Tape. Outkast's first album. Who else? Cool G Rap had an album in 94, 95, the 456 album. Shout out to Shining. The Shining album came out in 95. What was that? Smith & Wesson. Shout out to Smith & Wesson. So all these people came out with incredible bodies of work within 1994 and 1995. If you know any album that you can remember from that era, put them in the comments right now. What album from 94, 95 that you heard that you were like, yo, this is crazy? And don't be shy in the comments, man. There's people here. What are y'all watching just to see my beautiful face? Like, I know I'm handsome. My mother had a nice child. I get that. But outside of that, I want to know your feedback on 1994, 1995. We'll get into 2024, 2025, but we have to start there because the cycle goes from 94, 95 to 2024, 2025. Once again, what's up? Let me know what you think. 94, 95, what's your top album out of 94 and 95? 1994, 1995, what's your top album? And if you don't say nothing, I'll just get into mine. Like I said, Only Built for Cuban Links, incredible album. Nas' first album, phenomenal album. Notorious B.I.G.'s first album, phenomenal album. Outkast's first album, phenomenal album. 95, what else happened? I'll tell you something, even though it wasn't an album, but I'll tell you something that's, I gotta give gotta give props to the mixtape scene. Shout out to DJ Doo-Wop, because he had a mixtape called Live 95 that came out in 95. And it was like a whole bunch of artists that were featured on that mixtape. Like Fat Joe, Lord Tariq, Keith Murray, so many people. Matter of fact, didn't Keith Murray drop his album in 95? I believe Keith Murray also dropped in 95. But between 94 and 95 was an amalgamation of so much good music. So much good hip hop came out between 1994 and 1995. I'm talking about so many classic albums. So many classic albums. To think of some more, like I said, Cool G Rap 456 was an incredible body of work. Who else you know that came out in 94, 95? I need some of my hip-hop purists. I need my historians in hip-hop right now to let me know what they know on that. Because we can skip all the way out. In the last 2 years, 2024, 2025, here's where I'm going to show you how the cycle happens. 1994, 1995, all these amazing artists came out. Hip-hop was in what you call the golden age. It was the golden age of hip-hop. It was a great time for hip-hop. So many incredible projects came out. And let's just fly all the way till now. 2024, yes, Bone Thugs and Harmony. Shout out to Bone Thugs and Harmony. They debuted in 95, right? Bone Thugs and Harmony, first album. Shout out to Cleveland. They debuted in 1995 with their album, which is fire. Shout out to Eazy for finding them. They were Cleveland, Ohio, right? Shout out to Cleveland on the hip-hop scene. Also, if I'm not mistaken, Poe Pimp, Do or Die from Poe Pimp, Do or Die, Poe Pimp with the song, and Twista was featured on that. That song was phenomenal. That's when I first heard Twista come back, and he had the whole, he came with a whole new aura outside of Tongue Twister. You know what I mean? That was like early in the 90s. He came back and got crazy with it. Shout out to Twista. But now, just to show you what I mean, Raekwon's finest body of work, what people would say, only built for Cuban links, came out in 1995, right? And 30 years later, 2025, Raekwon just dropped his best album since Only Built for Cuban Links, in my opinion. It's called The Emperor's New Clothes. The Emperor's New Clothes. If you haven't heard Raekwon's new album, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. That new album is crazy. If you didn't hear, Raekwon has a new album that came out about 2 months ago now. The Emperor's New Clothes. It's phenomenal. Just think about his album that came out in 1995. Only Built for Cuban Links. A phenomenal body of work. So I'm just showing you this 30-year cycle. He dropped the album 30 years ago. Came back 30 years later with another phenomenal album. Music in general is getting back to bars. It's getting back to boom bap on the front of everything. Because it's always been there. It never went anywhere. But for a few years, other music, other sub-genres of hip-hop have taken over. And it got to a point where it was kind of like, wasn't that creative. Everybody was just following the wave. Say somebody, Drake do a wave, everybody just follows that wave. The same sound, the same styles. In 94 and 95, biting was forbidden. You can't copy people's stuff. Look at Raekwon's album. It been Nas' album. He even said, he was taking a shot at Biggie and them, saying, yo, they bit off a Nas album. You couldn't bite album covers, you couldn't bite flows, sounds, songs, you couldn't do none of that. Understand that. It was called being authentic in yourself, being who you are, but being authentic to who you are for the culture. That's what it was all about. Now, we got a lot of people in here, man. Chime in. Nobody, all right, so let's move from 94, 95. We're gonna be jumping back and forth until I get some hip hop purists in here, we'll jump back. But let's jump into now. Have y'all heard the Clip's new album? The Clips haven't dropped the album in 20 years, right? Have you heard the Clips' new album? The Clips' new album is phenomenal. Ghostface just dropped a new album this past Friday. That album is phenomenal. So you have all these legendary artists from 30 years ago and more that are dropping albums. Let's even go into the 80s. MC Lyte just dropped the album. When's the last time you heard MC Lyte rap? And usually now hear her voice at all the awards. She got that special voice that you hear, and she's at all the award ceremonies. Everybody knows MC Lyte's voice. Even if you don't know it's MC Lyte, you've heard her voice at all these awards because she has that special kind of voice. But MC Lyte just dropped a new album this year. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's a 30-year cycle. We're getting back into conceptual hip-hop with meaning. We're getting back into the boom bap sound. We're getting back into traditional hip hop. Like I said, there's room for everything, but on the main front at this point is right back there. Even I dropped the album this year because you know what? I was in that vibe. I just felt compelled through the situation that I had last year. It made me feel like it's time to drop something. And I'm not done. I got another album coming out top of the year. We're gonna keep it moving because 4, 5, 6 is CeeLo, 94, 95, 96. Crazy for hip hop, but we didn't get to 2026 yet, so that's on the way. Shout out to Capital, Monopoly, you know what I mean? Oh, hold on, hold on. Is that my man? Is that my man? I see Capital L. Is that my man? You know what I'm saying? Is the West Coast in the building right now? If that's so, I need you to drop something in the comments. Let's go back to 94. Let's go back to 95. In the comments right now. 1994, 1995, that time frame. What was your favorite album from that time frame? There's a good amount of people in the chat. If y'all all YNs and YBs, I get it. It's all good. If you have no idea about anything from 95 or 94, then let's talk about 2024, 2025. In the last 2 years, what are your favorite albums that have dropped in the last 2 years? Put it in the comment. Nobody in here is under 2 years old. I'm not trying to hear that. There's nobody in here that's under 2 years old. So in the last 2 years, 2024, 2025, what's your favorite album that dropped in the last 2 years? And then we're going to go right back. Also, what's your favorite album from 1995, 1994, 1995? Let's get into it. Nas' first album, Illmatic. To this day, one of the greatest, if not the greatest hip-hop album of all time. I know they said Lauryn Hill album was the greatest hip-hop album of all time. I don't totally agree with that. It's one of the greatest albums. I can't say it's the greatest album, but it's one of the greatest albums that ever came out. But when Illmatic dropped, it changed the game. You have somebody whose first appearance was at 15, 16 years old, and he said when he was 12, he went to hell for snuffing Jesus. Live at the Barbecue, the Main Source record, it had Akinelli, it had Nas on it, and of course Main Source. Nas started off saying Streets Disciple, my raps is trifle. Called himself Streets Disciple. The first bar he said was Streets Disciple, my raps is trifle. I shoot slugs through my brain just like a rifle, you know? And he said he gonna kidnap the president's wife without a plan and hanging ends like the Ku Klux Klan. This is a 16-year-old kid. In today's music, a 16-year-old kid is going, abba da ba da ba ta habba da ba da ba. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to diss nobody, but all I'm saying is the YNs of today, the creativity is not there. They're going with the vibe. I need some more creativity in the youth today in hip-hop, man. Once again, let's get into it. 1994, 1995. What are your top albums from 94, 95? And at the same time, 2024, 2000. Yo, my comments is on. What's up with y'all? Yo, what's up? Y'all here watching. I need interaction. Let's engage. I want conversation. I want conversation. Let me know your favorite album in the last 2 years in hip hop, and also let me know your favorite album from 1994 to 1995. Let's talk about this album. A lot of people don't talk about it. It's my favorite Tupac album, Me Against the World. Came out in 1995. Do y'all know about Tupac, Me Against the World? Are you familiar with that album that came out in 95? That album dropped right when he was in prison. That album had Dear Mama. That album had So Many Tears. That album had Ain't Nothing Like the Old School. That album had Temptations. To me, that's my favorite Tupac album. I know everybody loves All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli, which are phenomenal as well. But Me Against the World was Tupac in his purest form, untainted, being Tupac Shakur. It wasn't a death row influence. It wasn't anybody behind him saying this, that, or the third. This was a body of work that had production from Easy Mobile. It was a very East Coast produced album. And let's clear the record. Let's clear the record. And we're going to get in the comments with this. Not for nothing, Tupac is from New York. Okay? He's from New York. I know he's on the West Coast, but just so y'all know, I got to break it down. Tupac was in New York City. He was born in Harlem and lived in New York till he was 15 years old. I don't care what nobody say. If you live somewhere till you 15 years old, that's where you're from. I can understand you relocate and you get with other people. Tupac is from Harlem, New York. Tupac lived in New York till he was 15 years old. Then he moved to Baltimore for like 2 years. And then he moved to California, the Bay Area. He got accepted. He embraced it with the Digital Underground. I get it. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. But let's keep it a buck. 15 years of living somewhere, that's where you're from. I was born in Brooklyn. When I was 1, I moved to Queens. I've been in Queens my whole life since. I'm from Queens. And if I would have moved out of Queens when I was 15 or 16, I'm still from Queens. Tupac is from Harlem. That's it. That's it. Y'all ain't got nothing to say about that, but it's a fact. Tupac is from Harlem. But let's get back into that project. Me Against the World. Are y'all familiar with Me Against the World by Tupac? I know y'all know I spent so many years, shed so many tears. I know you know that. You know that song. Or Dear Mama. You gotta know Dear Mama. My mama know Dear Mama. Every mama know Dear Mama. Dear Mama is the Mother's Day anthem, right? So you got to know, but that came off of Me Against the World while he was in prison. He was on Rikers Island in New York, actually, when that album came out. So shout out to Tupac, shout out to Me Against the World. That's my favorite Tupac album. Now we're going to talk about other albums that were incredible. Let's get into Outkast's album. Southern Playalistic Funky Cadillac Music. I believe that's the title. Southern Playalistic Funky Cadillac Music. I believe that's the entire title for the Outkast album. You had Players Ball, right? Oh, first time Goody Mob was ever on anything was what was it? It's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Cause you and I got to do for you and I. Don't try to, what was it? You better get up, get out, and get something. I don't know if you know that, but look up Get Up, Get Out, and Get Something by Outkast. That was Goody Mob's first appearance. They were on Outkast's first album. Crazy. Oh yeah. Yo, Pac album was fire. Yes. Yes. Ready to Die. Yes. Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music. Yes. Yep. And East 99 Eternal. Enter the Woo. That's what I'm talking about. These albums changed the course of music, not just hip hop. It changed the course of music totally. You feel what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I know that, you know? I know that's my dude Low Down now. I know that because hip hop historian, I already know what this is. You feel me? But yeah, shout out to Tupac's album, Me Against the World. Phenomenal. Shout out to Bone Thugs and Harmony album that came out in 95. You know what I mean? My man always come and call me light-skinned brother. I mean, I got a tan, bro. You don't see the tan? I'm tan now. You don't see? It's a tan. You can see the tan line. There's a difference. But anyway, so we here at Donnie Jackson. We are talking about 30-year cycles in hip-hop, right? We're talking about 30-year cycles in hip-hop. So this is what the word is. 1994, 1995. Think about the albums that came out in 1994 and 1995. And then we're going to talk about the albums that came out in 2024 and 2025. And I need more people in the chat. Y'all watching, I know y'all are enjoying the conversation, the conversation. But at the same time, I want engagement. I want y'all to let me know. If you don't know any albums from 1994 and 1995, then name some albums from 2024, 2025. The Clips just dropped a new album. Ghostface just dropped a new album. Raekwon just dropped a new album. And if we're talking about 2024, 2025, Snoop, let's go from the top. Snoop Dogg just dropped a new album in 2024. LL Cool J, 2024. Ghostface had another album. He did 2 albums back-to-back, 2024, Ghostface. Eminem dropped a project in 2024. Snoop, LL, Eminem, Ghostface. Who else dropped the album in the last 2 years? But just those alone are phenomenal. They've been around for over 30 years, most of them. And they're dropping incredible projects to this day. Like, that just goes to show you, it's a 30-year cycle. We're getting back to the essence of hip-hop. Not that we're taking away from nothing. Yes, Nas dropped, how about this? Not only did Nas drop 1, Nas dropped 5 albums in 3 years. Between, 2022, 3, and 4. Nas dropped 5 albums. He had Magic 1, 2, and 3. Hold up, now he dropped 6 albums, my bad. He had Magic 1, 2, and 3, and he had King's Disease 1, 2, and 3. In 3 years, Nas, that beat was crazy. In 3 years, Nas dropped 6 albums. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Nas Escobar, and he's on the Clips' album, he's on Ghostface's album, he's on Raekwon's album, and not only is he on their albums, he is the reason their albums are out right now, because their albums, not the Clips, but Raekwon and Ghostface albums are on Mass Appeal, which is Nas's label. Look at the purity of hip-hop, man. Shout out to Ralph McDaniels. Where are you, Ralph? You're somewhere maybe in Queens. You might be. I got to get you as a guest on here so we can do a live together, because Uncle Ralph, if you guys don't know, if you're not from New York City, Video Music Box was the show to watch right? Video Music Box, everybody would come running home from school to see the new music videos on Video Music Box. Yeah, every song featuring Nas is a hit. That's a fact. All right, Nas has never had a weak feature. Think about Mobb Deep and Nas, Thug Life Is Mine. All right, let's see what this is. Tech Nine is one of the greatest rappers of all time. That's a fact. One of the dopest lyricists. That's a fact. No one from the East Coast or West Coast can hold a candle to him. I'm not going to agree with that. That's your opinion. I respect it. I don't agree with it. Tech Nine is super dope. Don't get me wrong. Super dope. He's like a machine gun with the flow. But to say that no one from the East or West can hold it, I know he's in the Midwest, right? But that's definitely not true because, in my opinion, your opinion is yours. You're entitled to it, which is dope. FPS Coco, shout out to you for the comment. And much respect to Tech Nine. Now, do me a favor because Tech Nine's been around for a very long time. Been rapping since the late 80s. Yes, I know my history. I'm a student of the game. I know my history in hip hop. But I want you to tell me your favorite Tech Nine album between 94 and 95. What album in around 94, 95 did Tech Nine do that you like? Because I know he just did a song recently, actually have Lil Wayne on the chorus, like about 2 months ago he dropped. And shout out to my man Grizzy Hendrix from Queens, New York. Grizzy Hendrix had the song with Tech Nine from his previous album about 2 years ago. So shout out to Tech Nine. I met Tech Nine in front of Hot 97 some years back. I probably put it in my community tab on YouTube. I'll put the picture of me and him. Good dude. All right, what's up, Billy from Brazil? Shout out to Brazil in the check-in. So now let me ask you, since you're from Brazil, I want to know something. One, do you know any music from 1994 and 1995 as far as hip hop is concerned? And if not, what music from 2024 and 2025 do you know in hip hop that you like? Because we're talking about a 30-year cycle. You feel what I'm saying? 94, 95 was a great time in hip hop music. Incredible time in hip hop music. And so has been 2024, 2025. All those artists that dropped in are dropping again. LL just dropped the album last year. Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Ghostface. Who else dropped the album? I mean, there's even so many more that were on dropping albums last year and this year. This year, the Clips dropped a phenomenal album. Oh, CNN War Report. Yeah. It was around that time. I think the War Report might have been 96, but we're going to just see in that category. It's in that same breath. I'm not 100%. Somebody Google that. You know what I mean? Somebody check that out because I don't want to lead a lie to check it. But the War Report, put it like this. T-O-N-Y and they and Y, Multiply. That came out like 95. The War Report might have came out the top of 96. Might have been 95. But they definitely had L.A. with Mobb Deep and all that. So CNN, phenomenal duo, did their thing. Oh, Joey Badass, yes. Yep. Well, put it like this. Joey Badass he is definitely a lyricist. He's not playing around. He's keeping the authentic hip hop thriving. You know what I mean? Shout out to Griselda. They're doing it as well. Shout out to my homie Graf. He's doing it as well. There's so many people. But what it is it's the mainstream crowd. It's the hip hop fandom, the culture. So you have the hip hop culture, and you have kids that are 20 years old that are listening to music from the 80s. Big Daddy Kane, Cool G Rap, Biz Markie, MC Lyte, LL Cool J. 21-year-olds that are tuned into that. And then on the other side of things, like when we say pop, because hip hop for many years became the #1 genre. You know what I mean? Yo, big shout out to Coco, what's that? FPS Coco. Blessings. Thank you for the super chat. I'm new to going live, but I said I'm going to start doing it a lot because I have a lot of knowledge on hip hop. I'm a student in the game, and I like to share things with you guys. I will be doing a certain show called Tales of the Secret Agent that's coming this fall, and I'll tell you my many stories of my hip hop endeavors with a lot of famous legends that you will know. But once again, thank you. I'm going to like that. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate. Much love. I'm an independent artist myself, so every dollar counts for me to keep pushing my music forward and entertaining you guys and giving you that good culture. But let's get back into the conversation. Davies is nice. Yes, I think Davies is nice. I haven't heard many songs from Davies as an artist to say, yo, Davies is a hell of an artist. He's a dope MC, But I don't know. I haven't tuned into his music like that. But I can't say I've heard many songs where I could say, yo, he makes bangers. He makes these great songs. He makes great music. He's an incredible, phenomenal MC. That's for sure. But as far as me saying that he makes great music as an artist, I don't know, because I'm not really tuned in. Maybe you may know. As far as I'm concerned, he's a phenomenal MC, and I'll say that much. Shout out to Dave East. But Joey Badass, he's another one. You know, there are some really dope MCs that are out here that are doing their thing, no question about it. I salute them. But let's get back into the conversation. 30-year cycle. I want y'all to understand 30-year cycles are real. Like I said before, in the 1970s, people were wearing bell bottoms. Then in the 1990s, 30 years later, people were wearing bell bottoms. So that's 95, right? And now, 2025, what do I see outside? Bell bottoms. I just seen her, the musician, the artist. She just took a picture. She had on bell bottoms. I said, okay, bell bottoms are back. It makes sense. 30-year cycle. This is just what it is, y'all. It's 30-year cycles in certain things. Music and fashion is definitely a key for 30-year cycles. Shout out to everybody sticking around in the live. I want y'all to get more interactive, though. Shout out to Coco. Shout out to Donnie Jackson. Shout out to my man Capital L. Shout out to, who else was in here? Shout out to Savannah. Everybody that's been participating in the conversation. You know what I mean? I can go on. Like I said, I'm a hip-hop purist. I'm a student of the game. So I know a lot. Fat Joe. Fat Joe dropped in like 94. You know what I'm saying? Flo Joe and all that was out at that time. Shout out to Fat Joe, And I believe Lord Finesse dropped his second album, Awakenings, in 95, right? Shout out to Lord Finesse. That's my big homie. I'll have some Tales of the Secret Agent. I'm going to get Lord Finesse to get on the live with me so we can talk because just so y'all know, I used to be at Lord Finesse's crib when I first started writing rhymes. Shout out to his girlfriend, Marquita, who was my mentor. You know what I mean? They helped me get my pen sharp, So I got to shout them out. But let's get back into the conversation, folks. We're talking about 30-year cycles in hip-hop. And let's get into the 2024, 2025 cycles. Yeah, no doubt. If I do write a book, it's going to be called My Conversation. My Conversations or something like that. I'm going to incorporate Sean Conn, Conn, like My Conversations, But I'm going to be doing a YouTube show called Tales of the Secret Agent or Tales from the Secret Agent. I did start it some time back. I was going to do one episode and something happened and then I just left it alone. But it's time to get back into that because there's so many stories I want to share with you guys. Like when I was in the studio with Latifah or when I met Big L or when I opened up for LL Cool J or when we opened up for Rakim, like all these crazy things that as a kid it's a dream. I'm watching these people running home from school to watch them as a kid, just like, oh, hip hop is great. And then to find out that they only not just acknowledged me and befriended me and have utilized my talents. So I'm thankful for that, man. Hip hop has done so much. Who would have known hip hop would take it this far? Let's talk about Ready to Die. Speaking about that, Notorious B.I.G.'s first album. That album, phenomenal. You know what I mean? That album was phenomenal. So, yo, look at these mosquitoes. These mosquitoes are phenomenally trying to take my blood right now. Phenomenally trying to drain my blood. But Notorious B.I.G.'s first album, banger, incredible, right? Outkast's first album, incredible. Anyone in here, I need y'all to tell me one of y'all favorite albums from 1994, 1995. What about The Far Side? Let's not forget The Far Side did drop. Shout out to K Solo. Yo, shout out to K Solo. You know what I mean? Shout out to K Solo. That's a fact. But K Solo had dropped before Redman and them. So K Solo was like 89. You know what I mean? But shout out to K Solo down with the Hit Squad. One of the founding members of the Hit Squad. So, shout out to K Solo. K Solo, his name is like Wolfgang something. But shout out to K Solo. K Solo nice with them hands too. He was a boxer. You know what I mean? Golden gloves and all that. So shout out to K Solo, Spellbound. Him and DMX had some issues. I don't know the story behind him and DMX. DMX said he stole the style from jail. It was on Get At Me Dog. He's dissing K Solo on Get At Me Dog, if y'all didn't know. He is dissing K Solo. But let's get into it. 95. 9-5. Didn't AZ drop his album in 95? Nas dropped in 94. AZ dropped his album in 95. shout out to AZ. I'm gonna say this. I think AZ is one of the unsung heroes of hip hop, one of the unsung lyricists. People don't give AZ the credit that he deserves. He was on Nas' album. He was the only feature on Nas' first album on Life's a Bitch. And it can be said his verse may have been better. It definitely was neck and neck. It's no Nas didn't smoke him on that. They were level. They were even. He said, realizing the realism of life and actuality, fuck who's the baddest, a person's status depend on salary, and my mentality is money orientated. You know, like, how did he even start off like that? Like, shout out to AZ. You know what I'm saying? Gotta shout out AZ. And not for nothing, even though was it 9-5 or 9-6? When did Jay drop his album? It was not, but let's just say he dropped the singles. He had In My Lifetime and Ain't No Nigga in 95. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? And also in 95, you know who else dropped? LL dropped that Mr. Smith album with Hey Lover. He came with all those hits. Shout out, that's my big homie from this neighborhood right here. Shout out to LL Cool J. He had Hey Lover. He had She Was Raised Out of Brooklyn. Oh, Shame on You. Talking about ODB? ODB joint? ODB did drop an album in like 9-5, right? The Brooklyn Zoo joint? Brooklyn Zoo was 9-5. Shout out to ODB. Shame on You, if that's what you was talking about, because that was a phenomenal joint too. Matter of fact, when Brooklyn Zoo dropped, when Wu-Tang album dropped, if y'all can remember, maybe you don't, if you're not a purist, if you wasn't there, and you find out later, I'll say this much. When Wu-Tang's album first dropped, the two most standout artists on there was Method Man and ODB. And they were the first ones to get deals. Raekwon got his as well. But Method Man and ODB stood out like crazy on that album. You know what I mean? They all was killing it. But those two, definitely, everybody was talking about ODB and Method Man when that dropped. 94, let's see, what else? What else dropped in 94, 95? I need somebody in the comments. Let's go. Who else got the hip-hop purists with them? What else dropped in 94 and 95? We having a discussion right now. Shout out to the Fantastic Four if y'all saw that movie. I know that's off topic. But there is a song on DJ Clue's tape, the first professional, the professional album, the Fantastic Four, which was Big Pun, Cannabis, Cameron, and Nori. Crazy. Just if you haven't heard that song, make sure you check out Fantastic Four. DJ Clue got Big Pun, Nori, Cannabis, and Cameron. Crazy. Big Pun and Cannabis took off. You know, shout out to Nori and Cameron. They was dope too, but it took off a different level. But let's get some interaction, man, because I'm going to make this live go maybe 45 minutes because y'all ain't even interacting. I want interaction, not just watching me. I know I'm, like I said, my mother made a nice kid. Goody Mob Soul Food. Yes, Goody Mob did drop Soul Food in, 95? The year after, right? Phenomenal album. Name your favorite song off the Soul Food album. Soul Food was one of their songs. Yo, look at these bites, man. I'm getting, that's word to everything. We're going to start doing lives inside because these mosquitoes is taking my blood, man. I'm not a donor for mosquitoes. You know, what are their purpose? Like, what is a mosquito's purpose, for real? Anyway, yeah, 95. Shout out to Soul Food by Goody Mob in 95. Goody Mob did drop that. But if you're in the chat, here's what I want. Matter of fact, in the chat, even if you have no idea, if you can comprehend, if you speak English or not, easy. In the comments, your name and where you're from. I want to know where everybody's from. So let me put your name in the comments and let me know where you're from. Do that. If you don't know about the hip-hop thing and you're just being entertained by the conversation that I'm having with the people that do, that's perfectly fine. But at the same time, I want to know who you are and where you're from. Let me know. I want to know who you are and where you're from. You know what I mean? Let's keep the comments going. Because in a little bit, I'm going to end the live, especially if I'm not getting the engagement that I'm looking for, because I do want people to fill in. I know how I feel about the 94-95 cycle and the 2024-25 cycle. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it because it feels like hip-hop is back in that energy that made me love it, that made me want to write rhymes, that made me want to do this. So that's that energy. Donnie Jackson, a.k.a. Black Spade from Jersey, Exit 9. Shout out, shout out. Salute to you, Donnie Jackson. Exit 9 in Jersey. You know what I mean? Is that like Newark? Is that Newark? Savannah? Listening and learning. Shout out to you, Savannah. Listening and learning. Yeah, this is, like I said, I'm a student of the game, and it's my job to inform everybody on what I know. Each one teach one. You pass down the information. That's what we're here for. You know, we're here to pass down the information of what we know, what we've encountered. Brunswick. Okay, shout out to Brunswick. Shout out to Brunswick. I hear that. Shout out to Brunswick. Oh, okay. Didn't Naughty by Nature drop an album in 95? And that's when they had Here We Go. Now holla if you hear me, oh, gotta feel me flow. Yeah, Naughty did drop an album in 95 as well. Yeah, and that's when they had that Hear Me Flow, that joint. So that was a dope album. Shout out to Naughty by Nature. Definitely a phenomenal album that dropped in 95. They dropped the album in 95. The Shining. Let's give it up to the Boot Camp Clique. I didn't even mention them, and we gotta give it up to the Boot Camp Clique, the BCC from Brooklyn. Shout out to Buckshot Shorty. Shout out to Helter Skelter, Sean Price, and the Rockness Monster. Shout out to OGC. You know, shout out to the Fab Five. You know, OGC and Helter Skelter together. Shout out to Smith & Wesson. Smith & Wesson dropped their album, The Shining, in 95. So I know y'all know. Oh, Flip Mode Squad. Okay, yeah. Shout out to Flip Mode Squad. Shout out to Flip Mode Squad. That's a fact. Gotta give Flip Mode Squad some love. You know, shout out to Busta Rhymes. He did what he did. Shout out to Flip Mode Squad. That's a fact. They were definitely very influential in hip hop at the time, especially Busta Rhymes. He was doing features left and right, Flavor in Your Ear, this and that. He was all over the place doing his thing. So shout out to Busta Rhymes. But let's talk about The Shining. Let's talk about The Shining. Bucktown, home of the original gun clappers. Remember that? Bucktown. If you hear that song, you know what it is. Shout out to Smith & Wesson. They had a phenomenal. Matter of fact, it's the 30th anniversary for their joint. Dude beard came from Costco. 10-pack beard. What does that mean? I'm not even understanding what that is. Like, you think this is fake or something? Like, this is not no fake. Okay. I didn't know that Costco sold beards. That's ill. Costco sell beards? That's wild. That's new to me. Shout out to Costco and selling beards. That's what's up. Shout out to Costco. Spliff Star, yeah. Nah, Spliff Star, definitely. Spliff Star, dope hype man. Maybe the dopest hype man of all time. Like, outside. All right, so let's just say this. Spliff Star is the dopest hype man for the mid-generation of hip-hop. The golden age and before was Flavor Flav. Shout out to Flavor Flav. That's the hype. That's the original hype man. Flavor Flav is like the first hype man. You know what I'm saying? So big shout out to Flavor Flav, and he's transcended through all this time because Flavor Flav is still popping right now. And for those who don't know, Flavor Flav is an ill pianist. Pianist is what you say, right? Pianist. But he is crazy with the piano. He can play classical music on the piano, you know. But yo, my man clapped. Damn, Clap Cheeks is your name? That's okay, whatever. That's your name, Clap Cheeks. You Clap Cheeks? Cool. Clap Cheeks, what's your favorite album from if you don't know, 94 and 95, tell me your favorite album from 94, 95, or tell me your favorite. Damn, this mosquito was trying to get me, so I caught him. Definitely caught him. Anyway, and tell me your favorite album from 2024, 2025. Yeah, I'm talking to you, cheek clapper. Clap Cheeks. Let me know. That's wild, though. My man said my beard came from Costco. Like, I just came from the barbershop, like, a couple of days ago. I don't know. But, yeah, that's what's up. Man, it's definitely focused. But, you know, since you got your energy, you know what I'm saying? It's all love, right? So you tell me from 2024, 2025, what's your favorite hip-hop album that came out in the last 2 years? Shout out to Redman. I got to give Redman a big shout out. That's the big homie. Redman will be on my podcast. And for those who don't know, I'm starting a comic book podcast, a podcast all about comic books. And I will be interviewing Redman. He's coming out with a comic book this week. It's dropping, actually. Muddy Waters 2 is a comic book that will be dropping this week. Yo, these mosquitoes is getting crazy out here. Yeah, shout out to Jersey. Shout out to Redman. How about this? I'm from Queens, right? But I heard Redman first in Monticello Park in Queens on a Park Jam tape, him and Bismarck E. And it was right before he got down with EPMD. Before he got down with EPMD and dropped his album, he did an ill freestyle out here in Queens that is legendary. Legendary. Damn, message is hell for review. I'm pretty sure that message that's hell for review right now. Whoever, let me see what it says. Damn, Donnie Jackson, right? I'm gonna show you a thing, cause that's crazy. They tried to hide your comment because they thought it was something crazy. You said, let's get dirty. That's Redman, him and Christina Aguilera, right? Let's get dirty. Let's get dirty. I remember that joint. That's a fact. I don't know, y'all. I'm about to have to end this live because these mosquitoes is getting channel live on me. Oh, speaking of channel live, right? Channel live. Remember that? Sparking Madism. All we do is spark Madism. That was 95. How about this? How about this? Little Kim did drop her album Hardcore in 95, right? And then Foxy Brown came out as well, but Lil Kim dropped the album in 95. Junior Mafia for sure. Junior Mafia for sure. But I know Lil Kim did drop when Biggie was still alive and all, so I was 95. Yeah, let's get dirty. Yeah. Nah, it's all good. You said that, but you know, it's the, remember, this is algorithmic. So it's like through the algorithm, it's a computer that sees words and it may think you're saying something bad. So that's what that is. You know what I mean? But yeah, they think you're saying something crazy. But Let's Get Dirty was actually the name of that song, featuring what, Christina Aguilera. Nah, not true. Here's what happened. Method Man and Redman were not in the group before Wu-Tang. What happened was when Method Man came, remember the first single was they had Protect Your Neck and Laughter and Pain, and then Method Man was the second single, right? METHOD Man. Method Man got his deal with Def Jam. When Method Man got his deal with Def Jam, Redman was coming out with his second album, There Is a Dark Side. So what they decided to do for the promotion, because it was Redman and Method Man, they did something called Month of the Man. And they had a promotion thing where it was Month of the Man, Redman and Method Man together, Month of the Man, because they both were dropping albums on Def Jam. And then they did How High. And then they became the Blunt Brothers. But yeah, Method Man was Wu-Tang first, and then that. But also, just so you know, Redman is an honorary member of the Wu-Tang Clan. They consider Redman now part of Wu-Tang, like in the family, honorary member. So that's dope. But yeah, they did their joints after that, you know what I mean? Yo, it's getting hectic. You know, I'm gonna give it another minute or two. I want some more conversation. If not, though, your boy's gonna be out. Yeah, for sure. It was called Month of the Man, and it was Redman and Method Man, and Def Jam was promoting it. See, one of my boys had worked for a record label back in the day, 2 doors down from me. Shout out to my man DJ Red. And yeah, Month of the Man. Look at, just Google Month of the Man, Redman, Method Man. It was like a big promotion for both of them. That's when I came to bring the pain, and that's when Redman, yo, it's getting wild, or is it just me? I gotta just try to be still, like Bruce Lee said, be like water, be still, right? But yeah, yo, these mosquitoes is crazy, man. Like facts, like I'm really like on guard, and I don't see no one else here. I see some people up over here. Ain't nobody. My blood is like honey to these mosquitoes. It's crazy, like it's just crazy. But yeah, yo, we got people in here. Let me know where you're from. I want to shout you out before I get out of here. So everybody, say your name and where you're from inside the chat. If you don't speak English, how can I say it? You type here. You. Like, I don't know how else to say it. You type you there. If that if that helps out, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But yo, can't forget Onyx. Onyx second album. Crazy. All We Got Is Us. You know what I'm saying? Onyx second album with Last Days, when that came out, way ahead of his time. That's a fact, way ahead. Favorite rapper in Wu-Tang. My favorite rapper in Wu-Tang, yours is GZA. Shout out to the GZA, the scientist, the actual scientist. Do you know that GZA actually does quantum physics discussions in colleges right now? Like, he actually discusses quantum physics in colleges right now. That's a fact. Shout out to the GZA. Yo, Last Days, crazy. And Last Days remix, super crazy. That's a fact. But Last Days was crazy. Shout out to Fredro Starr on the production. You know what I mean? Last Days is crazy. Oh, speaking of Fredro Starr, let me just big him up real quick. He got a series coming out called The Tunnel. The Tunnel was a nightclub in New York City that was the club to be at. Everybody from Tupac to whoever was in that nightclub, Snoop, whoever. The Tunnel is something of legend. So he's doing a series about the Tunnel. It's loosely based off some of their experiences with the Tunnel nightclub. So shout out to Fredro Starr, shout out to Sticky Fingers, shout out to Onyx. Onyx is to me is unsung heroes in hip hop, man. Hardcore to the core. Shout out to Onyx, Southside Queens. I'm from the North Side. Shout out to the South Side. That's right over there. Speaking of, for those who are in New York City, this Saturday I will be performing on the North Side, over by the Rock, 109 and Farmers. That's LL Cool J, you know, right where he did that video for This Is How I'm Coming, 14 Shots to the Dome, that first single. So shout out to LL, but I'll be performing at Farmers Day, August 30th. I'll be performing at Farmers Day. It's right up here, 5 blocks up. I will be performing there. And yeah, we about to get to the end of this, man, because these mosquitoes is getting so crazy. Like, I'm starting to feel stuff on me that's not even on me, you know. But once again, shout out to everybody that stayed, that tuned in. I appreciate you guys. I want to make, you know what? I'm going to start walking. That's what I'm going to do, and that's going to be the hour. That's what I'm going to do, because I could do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna start walking with y'all because it's getting too crazy. These mosquitoes is killing me, and I don't deserve to be getting bit up the way I'm getting bit up. So for the last couple of minutes, I'm gonna just rock with y'all on the you know what I mean, on the walk and start walking back. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to everybody that, you know, that way I keep moving. The mosquitoes ain't gonna just get me while I'm still, cause y'all must got like 15 bites. It's crazy. I don't deserve that, but I did it for hip hop. I did it for hip hop though. You know what I'm saying? So it's all good. But yeah, let me know where you're from. Let me know where you're from, where you're tagged in from. Let me know so I can shout you out, because I'm going to end the live once I get to the end of the park right here. I figured me walking will help out, not getting these mosquitoes all up on me, because it's crazy. It's crazy work. These mosquitoes have no mercy. That's for fact. I got bit mad times. It's sad. I got bit mad times. Shout out to Black Thought. Yo, shout out to the Roots. Matter of fact, hold up. I didn't mention the Roots. Hold up. Let me get this right. I didn't mention the Roots. The Roots dropped the album in like 94, I believe. 95, 94, 95. The Roots dropped their album 94, 95. That's a fact. You late, but you're here. Nah, it's all good. I'm about to end the live in a minute, though. I was just walking because these mosquitoes started getting crazy. Like, these mosquitoes started biting me all up. Like, it's sad. But yeah, we were just talking about the 30th cycle on hip hop, you know? And just so y'all see, you know what I mean? I'm here in the park. Mosquitoes ain't nothing nice at all. That's a fact. These mosquitoes got crazy with me. They're not my friend. The mosquitoes really wanted to do me in. Yeah, for sure, yo. Yo, you have a good one too. You know. Yeah, you late, but you here. That's a fact. You here. It's about to end in like 2 minutes or so. But thank you for coming to the live. You know, shout them out. Let them know where you're from. You know, and basically, it was a good discussion. You know, some people chimed in with some albums that they liked from 94, 95, and some albums they liked from 2024, 2025. And my whole point of making this live and doing this live was just to show people that 30-year cycles are real. When it comes to music, fashion, it's just real like that, you know. So shout out, 30-year cycle of hip hop. Mosquitoes is getting crazy. I feel them on my hands. It's wild. But yeah, we doing it. And yeah, I just wanted to do a quick walk. And I had to make a move because yeah, I feel like I got bit 13,000 times, you know, while I was out here. So this is gonna be the last time I do a live in the park. I try to do it for the aesthetic, the nature aesthetic, but nah, yo, not doing it no more because these mosquitoes is wild. When I say they wild, they wild. So what I will do is I will go this way, and that way I got like 6 more minutes. I'm gonna make it a full hour, you know. Yeah, nah, history definitely repeats itself. That's a fact. History repeats itself. So it's like, you got artists that came out in 94, 95, Raekwon, Ghostface, all these people, and they coming out with albums again, and they're at the top of their game, you know. And I was saying before with fashion, in the 70s, all that, people had bell bottoms, afros, whatever, right? In the 90s, people had bell bottoms and afros came out again, and now, 2025, bell bottoms is hot again. So it's 30-year cycles in fashion, and it's 30-year cycles in music. And what I got, like 4 minutes? I'm gonna sit right here by this bench. Hopefully the mosquitoes ain't crazy, because I want to end it stationary and not walking, because only reason I moved from over there, because them bugs got too crazy. Like when I tell you them bugs got crazy on me, it's like they took like a pint of blood from me or something. That's a fact. But I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna make it work here. And I think I'm good for a second. All right, so we're gonna end it on this side and just see if this works. Damn, hold on, let me get to the chat real quick. Hold up, chat. Yeah, history definitely repeats itself, you know what I'm saying? Damn, look at this, yo, mosquitoes is everywhere. You can't get away from them. 5 minutes on the chat, yo. Should I walk? Like, I feel like I'm not safe. Yo, it's crazy. It's crazy. Can't even sit down, yo. Mosquitoes is acting up that bad, like it's that crazy, you know. But anyway, just so y'all know, you know, we had the dope discussion today, right? We talked about the 30-year cycle in hip hop, 94, 95, 2024, 2025, the projects that came out, everything that happened. Really dope convo. You know, I'm keeping myself on the pivot right now. I ain't gonna front. I'm gonna stay on the pivot because it's wild crazy out here with these mosquitoes. So I'm just being extra cautious right now. But yeah, shout out to everybody that came into the live. I appreciate all of y'all. We had some record numbers. Well, I don't know. I didn't see the top numbers. I'll look at the numbers. But we had some good amount of people in here watching the live and interacting. You know, shout out to Savannah. Shout out to Donnie Jackson. Shout out to my man, Low Down Dirty Gang, Capital L. Shout out to other dude, I forgot his name, but shout out to you. You know, Kaasia, shout out to you. Yeah, it's what we're doing though. But once again, yo, just so y'all know, I will be performing at Farmers Day. Oh, nah, yo, it's crazy. I'm moving, yo. Them niggas is coming at me. For real, I'm out the way. I'm getting out the way. The mosquitoes are like, nah, B, we want your blood, B. We want that blood, and we want it now. So I think I'm gonna end this live because I can't take it no more, yo. I'm trying to stay for like 3 minutes, but it's crazy, yo. Like I got bit mad times, yo, just trying to chill. Just trying to chill and talk to the people. I'll be doing lives inside from now on though, man, because unless I have a hoodie on or something, like it's too crazy with the mosquitoes though. It's like, it's way too crazy with the mosquitoes. Yo, shout out to the decent man, my man Kyle that got the I'm a Decent Man from the City of Demons. He's doing his thing, man. He's coming from the heart. I respect it because he's being himself. He's being authentic. You know what I mean? He's being who he is, so I gotta respect that. You know what I mean? Shout out to him for doing what he's doing. Yeah, I'm about to put mad alcohol on my arm just to stop the itching. It's crazy right now. The sacrifice for hip hop is real. But once again, I'll be performing at Farmers Day, 109 Farmers Boulevard, August 30th. It's a full family event. Bring the kids. They got the bouncy houses. They got the painting. They got the little train joint. They're gonna be giving away free food. You know, it's gonna be a lot of dope performances. A lot of dope historical artists too that are like legendary. So y'all make sure y'all tune in. I'm gonna just hop off this live because these bugs is crazy. But yo, Hip Hop Secret Agent, you know what I'm saying? Like, we'll get back together on this live another time. But right now I'm out. I enjoyed it, had a good time. Hope y'all enjoyed. You know me, I'm on a mission. Oh